decided I wanted to go into the Marine Corps because there was a Marine who lived around the corner from us. This man was nothing but pride. And I knew that's what I wanted in my life. And at that time in my life and in the history of this country, blacks could not get in the Marine Corps.
Montford Point camp was a segregated camp where black men were garrisoned.
Nobody ever heard of it, nobody ever knew about it, and nobody ever knew it existed. There were only 2 boot camps in the Marine Corps for 99.9% of the Marines.
My drill instructor, he was the one that told us that if you're going to be a black Marine, you're going to have to be better than anybody else. Better.
When I went in, actually, we only had a few non-commissioned officers. And one of the officers wound up having Montford Point named after him, Hashmark Johnson.
He didn't have to say anything. Just look in his eyes, just stare. You knew what he meant. And you just waited for him to speak.
You were subjected to very intense training, and you feel like a survivor. In fact, you survived the training, and now you're officially a Marine.
You felt as though you had accomplished something within yourself.
You know, Buffalo Soldier, Tuskegee Airmen, all this, and the Montford Point Marines, you know, it's the same thing.
We African Americans were demanding the right to be on the battle lines, to fight.
We wanted to prove that we were just as good as infantrymen as anybody else. I found myself as a corporal, and I took over a squad. We ended up on the island of Iwo Jima. I landed on D-Day, incidentally.
So when we got to Iwo Jima, it was a city of ships. One of the most unbelievable sights you want to see. Like, all the landing crafts were going around in a circle, forming a line to come in waves to the beach.
First of all, the waves, understand, that were coming in against the banks were ferocious and sometimes covered you up. That was in my mind. Would I ever see my brothers and sisters again there? They were just pitch black. When the Japanese fired their weapons, they get a good idea of where they were located. From out of that, there were 2 in my squad that earned both the Silver Star and the Bronze Star.
It was still segregated up until the Korean War. Marine Corps was one of the first branches of the military to start to integrate.
Now I was the only black in the outfit. At 31 Marines, only 1 black. Okay, they wouldn't say a word to me. So when we get to Incheon, now these guys now began to warm up to me because they realized that we depend on each other. Well, our lives depend on one taking care of the other. So we get to Chosin Reservoir, and the Chinese had cut us off completely. So now we got to get ourselves out of there. Now the worst part of that is it's 35 below zero. We ran out of food, ran out of water, ran out of ammo. My boot would literally froze to my foot. When my boot came off, part of my foot came off with it. So all my toes on my right foot are gone. The training I got at Montford Point saved my life.
We were coming home from overseas, and we stopped at the railroad station, and we saw all these signs. No colors allowed, white only. And we took all them signs down. And we told them, we didn't go to war for the United States to come back to see this.
I wasn't drafted. I volunteered to wear that uniform. And I respected the uniform, and I had hoped my fellow citizens would have respected it also, but that didn't necessarily happen.
I have a friend who was on his way home after boot camp. He was sitting there having been passed over by 2 buses when suddenly a big burly white Marine came in. And he came over and he said, gee, I didn't realize that there were black folks in the Marine Corps now. He said, well, welcome. He said, how long have you been here? He asked him. And he said, by the way, why are you waiting over here? Why aren't you getting on the bus? And he said, every time the bus comes in, the white folks are put on first and I can't get on. With that, the white Marine called out, who's in charge of this bus station? And the manager of the bus station came over and he said, you see that Marine over there? He said, when the next bus comes out of here, I want to see his butt on one of those seats. This is 1943. The commonality, the common brotherhood between Marines was shown at that time. During World War II and afterwards, the highest rank that a black person could go was to that of 6th Striper sergeant in the military. Captain Frederick C. Branch became the first officer on November 10th, 1945, after the war had ended.
Then years later, we had warrant officers. Annie Grimes, she's the 3rd black woman to come in the Marine Corps. She's the first to be commissioned.
People like me, other minorities in the Marine Corps, have the opportunity to be a part of this organization because of their sacrifices.
Being a drill instructor myself, I never forgot the struggles that they went through. The sky's the limit of things that I can do because of these Marines.
It's a different attitude, a complete different attitude. And back in the days when we were coming along, I don't believe that would ever happen.